Sakura Haruka is a high school student who follows his own path in life and is rejected by his peers as a result. One early morning, a group of guys who have already reached their peak in life harass a woman. She has a carton full of eggs, so it's obvious that she has places to be. But they don't seem to care and keep asking her to come have some fun. She refuses and tells the leader that she would smash her eggs into his face if it weren't so wasteful. But she doesn't have time to waste on people who live impoverished lives like him and his friends, so she's leaving now. Sakura steps in to stop the leader since he can't handle not being told no. He grabs her hand violently and injures her. He instructs the guy's leader to pack it up because it's too early in the morning to be acting foolishly. At first, he makes an effort to be calm and act like a responsible adult. Sadly, when your brain is the size of a walnut, logic doesn't function. Thus, when the leader tries to strike Sakura, his blow is easily sidestepped. He is subsequently severely battered, forcing the cameraman to cut away. Nevertheless, when he returns to the frame, Sakura is standing over him, referring to him and his allies as feeble, since he doesn't back down from a confrontation. Anyone who finds him problematic should keep in mind that his name is Sakura Haruka from Fury and High. The girl who had been observing everything for the entire time now snaps out of her daze and starts chasing after him after he just starts to walk away silently to finish her kick-ass moment. Sakura is perplexed because no one has ever thanked him for anything before as she takes hold of his arm and expresses her gratitude for saving her. He quickly enters Sundeer mode and assures her that he didn't do it for her benefit or anything else. He was just pissed off by the guy's actions. However, his brain short-circuits. He ends up in the girl's bathroom after the girl ignores his outburst and asks if he is hungry. Sakura initially says he isn't, but nobody can resist a nice omelet. As they strike up a conversation, she discovers that Sakura is not a native of this town, which explains why she hasn't seen him before. There have been numerous gang fights in the Sundeer region recently. People usually avoid going near the area. She seems unconcerned, even though most people would be terrified of someone who they witnessed easily defeat 5 guys. When she identifies herself as Takabana, Sakura is still perplexed as to why this female is approaching him with such friendliness. She inquired as to whether he would not eat the food she had prepared for him because he had not yet tasted any. Sakura began eating right away, and he enjoyed it. Takabana commented on how different he looked because half of his face was a different color, but she could tell that this was just the way he naturally looked. When her face gets a bit too close, Sakura becomes alarmed and leaps away. Sakura comments, "I'm surprised that she doesn't find him weird." Once he calms down a little, most people would call him gross for the way he looked. Takabana is used to seeing people with far worse dress choices, so she doesn't think his appearance all that unusual. But that being said, she queries whether his appearance was a factor in his initial motivation for coming here. Sakura informs her that she is correct because he came here and that, in a fight, appearances don't matter. Brawls to determine who is on top happen every day because the school was infamous for having both the best fighters and the most brain-dead students. Sakura is eligible to join the Walnut Brain Society, so this school is the only one where he might possibly succeed in becoming well known. Even though Takabana is aware of Sakura's intentions now, she nevertheless teases him for dressing in his uniform today since Furin doesn't start school until tomorrow. Sakura disputes it, but Takabana can only conclude that she is correct about him because of his humiliation. An elderly man named Yama had just finished his dinner and was about to leave when Sakura noticed that he had forgotten his bag. He then gave it back to him while they were arguing. After a little while, Takabana approaches and says Yama wanted to give Sakura some chocolates as a token of appreciation because he was grateful for her assistance. Sakura queries why everyone is being so kind to him as he is still not used to receiving gratitude for anything. Normally, people would be cautious since they would assume he is a delinquent after just one glance at him. He once attempted to return someone's wallet, but the victim accused him of stealing it, thus the police were called. Sakura is informed by Takabana that although he came to Fujin with the proper decision, he is currently unbeatable and cannot possibly become the top dog due to a single factor. Despite his strength, he is going to get his ass jumped because he is by himself. Sakura becomes enraged upon hearing her mention he's alone and declares that he is not weak and shouldn't need to depend on other people to win a fight. Sakura might have the strength to support his claim, she acknowledges, but it would be better if he met some other young people from Fujin. That way, he'd know what she meant. Sakura is approached by the previous gang leader while strolling home, and this time he has the whole squad with him with the express intent of jumping Sakura. He tries to ignore them and leave because he's not really in the mood to deal with this at the moment. but the leader stops him and begins making fun of his appearance. Since Sakura has been interacting with jerks like this one his entire life, this is just what he has been waiting for. He has given up on attempting to blend in because they always stare in with contempt and see what's happening. They seize her and threaten to stab her in order to hold her hostage and force Sakura to lower his guard. But before Tachibana has a chance to wield his knife, Sakura performs some impressive gymnastics and drops the man as soon as he recognizes that he is in danger. A man tries to approach Sakura from behind, but Sakura isn't going to accept such a cheap shot, so he kicks the man in the face and smashes it into a wall. He carries on destroying them, but he is severely limited in how much damage he can inflict by needing to defend Tachibana. If this continues, he will eventually be overwhelmed. Given how little he knows her, he's not even sure why he tried to help her in the first place. One of the individuals he had previously knocked unconscious regains consciousness as he fights on, and he uses the knife that was tossed on the ground to slit his ankle. Then a man with a bat almost smacks him in the head, but he escapes just in time. Despite his damaged ankle, his range of motion will be restricted. He calmly braces himself for the thrashing he's going to receive because he hasn't made an attempt to avoid the following onslaught. But before the bat can render him even more stupid than he already was, someone else who is dressed in the same Furin costume as him comes to his rescue. He gives Sakura credit for keeping Tachibana safe, and she appears pleased to see him. Now that he's here, he'll make sure the matter is addressed. But he urged her not to inform their employer that she was in danger so he wouldn't become upset. After taking the bat from the gang member and elbowing him so hard that he is forced to take a nap, he turns to confront the other patrons as his friends show up. These punks will have to pay the price for their pranks, which have ruined the town. It makes sense that the gang is afraid because, after barely defeating one guy, they now have to face with for more. They know they have no chance of winning, but there's no turning back now, so they all assault at once. Since Sakura is not weaker than the other Furin males, this bout is a one-sided thrashing. A man tries to pursue Sakura, but he can't move aside quickly enough due to an injury to his ankle. Fortunately, Haraji intervenes and sends the man flying into a wall. He tells Sakura to back off if he gets harmed because if he gets himself stuck in the midst, they won't be able to protect him. As onlookers start cheering for the Furin guys to beat up the gang so they can move on with their gaze, Sakura only looks shocked. Sakura arrived here not knowing what to expect, and he never would have imagined that this community would be so supportive of Furin. Then Tachibana tells him that her statement that gangs make this place unsafe only applies as far back as 2 years or so. This occurred as a result of the Furin Hive students taking charge of the town's security and posting a sign at the entrance. Anyone foolish enough to stir up unrest in their town will come out of it with even more mental damage than when they arrived, because, as the Windbreaker, they represent the town shield. That explains why everyone in the town now loves them so much. True, 2 years ago, they were a bunch of losers, but that was then, and today, everyone in this place loves them. Sakura can't help but be envious of these guys since, in spite of their violent altercation, everyone here still views them as heroes. But all he ever received was derision. When the villagers turn to face him and begin to thank him for keeping the gang at bay until everyone else arrives, he is still in disbelief. An elderly woman offers to treat his injured ankle, but all of this goodwill is difficult for him to process. Thus he lashes out once more. Knowing why he is acting this way, Tachibana administers first aid to him while stating that although he is alone, he did not choose to be alone. He doesn't have to give up on the people here. They need him, regardless of what may have led to it. Even yet, he was gracious enough to give Yama's luggage back, and he risked his life to keep her safe. Thus, people won't turn away from him if he was willing to stare in their direction. Sakura is at a loss for words, so instead of replying, he charges into the crowd and leaps 10 feet high. He then launches into a dropkick directed at the gang boss who is attempting to ambush Haraji. He says that he doesn't know how he feels about playing the hero, but he will fight to protect the community if people accept him for who he is. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel and click on the screen for more contents like this. See you over there. Arigatou.